what a few days it's been since I was talking to you last. I know we've done podcasts and I know there's been ups and downs and everything, but there was also the absolute whopper that was San Diego Comic-Con 2025. I want to say a massive thank you so much to everyone who worked across the line to help cover all of the news over the weekend. Stephen Fothery, TechStrack, I want to start with you. You did an absolute blinder. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed all of the shade you threw at me at the start of those videos. Don't think I didn't notice that. But no, honestly, they were so much fun. Thank you so much to all of our editors as well who were working through the night. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on in this industry. And of course, Jack, who wrote the articles as well to cover all of the news. So Brandon, Pedro, and yes, Chris as well. So many people pitched in to get that across the line. Thank you so much. So naturally, what am I here to do? Kind of go back through a lot of it, but also with little bits that have come out since as well. We have a little bit of context. We have some more interview clues as well as to what we can expect going forward, what's kind of the lie of the land at the moment as well, and some other fun bits that have been teasing us for a while, and some stuff that's coming up really soon. So first of all, I want to say thanks to our colleague Mick Jost over on Cinema Blend. He was able to sit down with Robert Picardo along with some of the cast as well of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I'm going to break down a little bit of what happened in the trailer, what we've learned since. Stephen did an excellent job going through that frame by frame, so the big bit of that is done. But so everyone is talking about the Paramount CBS merger with Skydance at the moment. And also in recent times as well, some fairly large developments have left a lot of people, and I think specifically Star Trek fans, a bit concerned as to what the future of Star Trek might look like when this merger goes through. Mick was able to speak to Robert Picardo about how the cast are feeling, about, is there a bit of a worry about what might happen with a show specifically like Star Trek, one that is so embracing of diversity. I mean, infinite diversity and infinite combinations is one of the oldest messages in Star Trek. Picardo, quite frankly, he was honest. He said, this show, this franchise, this universe is 59 years old, and diversity is so baked into the core of Star Trek, that's not going anywhere. And Starfleet Academy is going to carry that torch. It's going to be the latest but true iteration. When I say true, I don't mean that to say it, more so than any of the others, but to hold to that ideal of infinite diversity and infinite combinations that Star Trek does so well. Reading between the lines, we're all talking about the recent announcement that DEI initiatives are going to be done away with, or at least there's a pledge for them to be done away with after this merger goes through. And that is, frankly, concerning, particularly with something like Star Trek. So to hear from one of the lead players in Starfleet Academy that while so many things are happening in the outside world that are seemingly beyond people's control and they are concerning and that at least in this new show we will see the Star Trek that we are used to seeing and that we want to see going forward. And that was a major point. That thank you very much, Mick, for your interview with Robert, and thank you very much, of course, Robert, for saying that and for speaking directly to those worries, because we want to be celebratory of this new show that's coming. We want to revel in the scenes that we saw in the teaser trailer, but it is hard to escape the shadow of everything that's happening around it. So at least in this specific case, it does look like Star Trek is going to remain Star Trek. The Academy teaser trailer dropped, and I'm gonna be, I've already said it, I think it looks gorgeous. Now, it's obviously very much continuing on in the aesthetic that has been formed in Star Trek Discovery, that has been, to a certain extent, carried over into Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and we saw shades of that in some of Star Trek Picard as well. The asymmetrical uniforms have returned, to the chagrin of some and to the delight of others. What we did see is a lot of care has gone into at least that teaser trailer. And you can tell that, I mean, for so long they've been talking about how the largest set ever has been built for this, something like 49,500 square foot set of this atrium. There's a lot of time and money has gone into this. You know, Academy Award winning actor Holly Hunter, Academy Award nominated actor Paul Giamatti are both starring in this show. To quote John Hammond, "We spared no expense." And you can see that in this teaser trailer. We see new uniforms, returning uniforms, we see updates on existing aliens, we see the return of the more familiar looking Klingons, this being set in the 32nd century. In Discovery's time frame, of course, we saw the Klingons in the first and second season of Discovery, but then we didn't see them again after that. So, you know, something happened back in the 23rd century there, but, you know, the Klingons kind of look a bit like, you know, traditional Klingons again, which is exciting. And also exciting to see is a Klingon attending Starfleet Academy. Because, of course, that's the point of this show. It's about Starfleet Academy. It's about this new class of cadets, this first class of cadets in over 100 years. Now, of course, a lot of this, everyone knows this already. That is great. As I say, we've done the big trailer breakdown and we've done some theorizing. So naturally, I'm going to theorize some more. Especially with the reveal that the USS Athena is not only the hero ship of the season, but is in fact the Academy itself. And the Chancellor of the Academy is the captain of that ship, played by Holly Hunter, Captain Nala Ake. I'm digging this. You know, we have precedent for this in Star Trek. The old USS Republic and then later the USS Valiant were both ships to an extent crewed by cadets. Now, of course, the Valiant ended up crewed entirely by cadets because of circumstance more than anything. And it ended well. Yeah, several of their names are on the wall in this teaser trailer. But there is precedent for this in Star Trek. But we've never really seen the way it's been billed before, that it's a training ship, and that's what this looks to be. And the ship itself looks to be more or less modelled after those new style of comm badges too. You know, I'm kind of digging the comm badges. Thank you, by the way, everyone who's already reached out to me going, "Oh my God, your poor wallet, oh my God." And I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that already. I'm speaking to my financial advisors. We'll figure it out when it comes to comm badges and uniforms. It's grand. It's all fine. It's fine. But it really is, because I do enjoy the look of Starfleet Academy. I have seen, I think, you know, some valid concerns that some people would like to maybe put some of this aesthetic to bed. I have to say, I didn't expect it to not look like this, and it sort of, the style of it is very much what I expected, especially with it being set in the 32nd century. It seems only natural that it would look like you could watch an episode of this and then an episode of season 5 of Discovery, and they could be in the same, you know, series of episodes. But what I am enjoying is seeing, I've mentioned like some returning aliens, but also some variations on. And yes, I am speaking about Gina Yashare's Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid. What's going on there then? Well, I mean, there could be any number of things that have happened to create a Klingon Jem'Hadar hybrid. Some eagle-eyed audience members were quick to point out that in the 24th century there were no Jem'Hadar women. You know, Jem'Hadar were hatched from these large, you know, hatcheries. And that is all very, very true. But there's also a big, whopping gap of time between the end of Star Trek Deep Space Nine and the beginning of Starfleet Academy. It is not a difficult thing to imagine that someone got a little bit wild with genetic engineering. I mean, because all it takes is someone along the way to be like, and now we have created a Jem'Hadar woman. You know, or perhaps she is someone who has been hatched from a hatchery and some things have been changed along the way. We don't know. I just had this very funny image in my head of, you know, bottle of blood wine, Klingon opera playing, maybe a date night that goes quite well, and then suddenly we've got a new first officer and cadet master for the USS Athena. And I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it. The thing is, totally open mind here going on, because you have that so much of a stretch of time, you really can do so much. You know, and also, who's to say that the temporal wars didn't change the fact that there were no Jem'Hadar women? That's the thing. We don't know. But I like that we don't know. I don't want to know everything going in. You know what I mean? We got our first look as well at some of our cadets in uniform. And actually, thank you very much, Mick Jost, again for a moment, because further as part of his interview with Robert Picardo, Picardo leaked that there would be some EMH sort of centric, at least scenes, if not episodes, in this season, and particularly with one of the new cadets. Now, we know that Keris Brooks is playing Sam, who is a hologram. You know, her character description says that she only was created about 3 weeks before becoming a cadet. So, you know, she's learning everything on the fly. Who better to be a mentor than a hologram? So I'm looking forward to seeing how our adult characters interact with our younger characters as well. In fact, this is slightly older. This is an interview going back as far as May now, but Keris Brooks and Bella Shepherd both said that, you know, they were aware of the fact that people were a bit concerned that because this is Starfleet Academy, there might have been this idea that, you know, Star Trek Dawson's Creek or Star Trek 90210 or Star Trek Riverdale was on the way. And they both spoke to the idea that it doesn't, you know, in the making of it, it doesn't feel like it's a YA show. It doesn't necessarily feel like it's going to be, you know, everyone in high school and, you know, what's going on here, what's going on here. And that over the course of the season, we will see the maturation of our characters. I'm expecting, if I'm honest, thinking this in a moment, I am expecting in our first couple of episodes, a level of immaturity, as you would expect with freshmen in school. You know, not everybody is who they want to be. Think about every Star Trek ever. Was season 1 the season that they all wanted to be by the end of it? There are definitely exceptions to that rule. So I am very much excited to see where things go. And I'm expecting that some of these characters are going to challenge me. If we look at Star Trek Prodigy, for example, Dal, I struggled with Dal in the first few episodes of Prodigy because he was an immature kid. And as the show went on, he rapidly changed in my eyes as his character matured. I'm expecting something a little bit similar with Starfleet Academy. So if that's what we get, that's what I'm sort of here for as well. You know, not everybody can be perfect on the first go. And that's kind of the point. What we also got was absence. We did not see Mary Wiseman in this teaser trailer. We know that Tilly is going to be a character in Starfleet Academy. We can assume she will be an instructor at the Academy because, you know, Discovery sort of spoiled that one by their coda going longest tenured chancellor at the Academy. She does not seem to be the chancellor here because I think Nala Aki might have something to say about it. I reckon they're sort of holding that back for a later trailer. You know, what she's going to be in relation to, perhaps she might not be on the Athena, she could be remaining on Earth. Sadly, we don't know, but we didn't see her in this teaser. And I was a bit like, oh, I miss her. Someone we also didn't see in this teaser is Becky Lynch. You know, just casually, world champion Becky Lynch there, you know, who is going to be, according to her, one of the bridge crew. She didn't say which bridge, I will say, because, you know, we have our heroes and we have our villains as well. We do get a reveal of Paul Giamatti's half Klingon, half Tellarite character too, whistling the Alexander Courage theme, which I'm not sure how that works in terms of the universe. But then again, I suppose Lower Decks did have somebody whistling the Next Generation theme, so there is precedent for it. But yes, no Becky Lynch in the trailer, no Mary Wiseman in the trailer. I presume, as I say, that these are being held back for a later trailer. As I say, we've done the full trailer breakdown, so please do check that out on the channel, because I want to now move on a little bit to the news about Strange New Worlds and Star Trek Year 1. As part of the panel for Strange New Worlds, showrunners Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers spoke about how the show is going to naturally come to an end after season 5. There's been a lot of talk about completing the 5-year mission, but that also they were openly and excitedly hoping to continue the show in the form of a spin-off, if you like, which would effectively be not so much they were being very careful how they phrase things, not so much a remake of the original series, but that first set of adventures with Kirk in command of the Enterprise. They spoke about episodes like Where No Man Has Gone Before, and specifically called it out as saying, this doesn't feel like Kirk's first day in the big seat, that particular episode, and that it doesn't feel like it's even his first or second mission. So that this show that they either jokingly or not said Star Trek Year 1 could tell the story of Kirk becoming the captain we know him to be. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't love the title. I'm just going to be completely straight with you there about that one. I think it's been done, Star Trek Year 1, and it also immediately says, so that's a 1-season deal. I mean, obviously, you can do whatever you want with this, Year 2 for season 2, so on and so on. But I'm not against, the more I think about it, I'm not so much against the idea of telling that story. If I'm very honest with you, and that's what I'm here to do, I am concerned about sort of retreading ground we've already gone over. And that's sort of the story of Kirk. I like him as a supporting character in Strange New Worlds, but I would be obviously, curious, maybe a tiny little bit apprehensive about revisiting that. But Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers said part of their pitch is the fact that the set's sitting there ready to go. I mean, it is the set of Strange New Worlds. Why not use these sets? Why not make money off them? In fairness, as I say, if you want to get down to the real brass tacks of everything, how do you win a pitch in Hollywood these days? Will the show get viewers? And the answer is probably yes. I'd maybe sit here going, look, we did the original series. We did it 59 years ago. But it doesn't mean we can't do either variations on or other stories. I'm not really interested in remakes of old episodes, but additional stories, that's something different. As it stands, we have a lot of the cast and crew of the original series sort of ready to go. We don't have a Sulu, we don't have a Chekhov, and we don't have a McCoy. But we do have nearly everybody else. So, and I quite like what they're doing for a lot of it as well. At the end of the day, if it means we get more Star Trek, I'm sold. I mean, I'm an easy sell in that respect. Speaking of being an easy sell, if I see a puppet, quite frankly, I'm probably gonna tune in. There was the big reveal, of course, of the captain's chair turning and the puppet version of Captain Pike sitting there with a puppet Pike's Peak as well, teasing an episode of season 4 of Strange New Worlds that we know nothing about the context. We don't know if it's just Pike. We don't know if it's the entire crew are turned into puppets. We don't know if anyone is turned into puppets. It could be another holodeck episode. We don't know. Look, things like this have worked before. I love the episode Smile Time of Angel, for example, and that was a serious show and they managed to make a puppet episode work. If the story is funny and if it vaguely works within the confines of Star Trek, I'm here for it. As silly as it does look, and it does look silly. They made a musical work. I'm excited to see what happens there. As we now know as well, the trailer for Star Trek Can, the 9-part audio drama, was released, with the big reveal that George Takei and Tim Russ were reprising the roles of Captain Sulu and Ensign Tuvok, respectively. There's going to be a wraparound story here. So this is going to be the story of the 20 years between Space Seed and Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, with a wraparound story set on the Excelsior in the 2290s. We have a new character, Dr. Lear, who will be studying historical records from SETI Alpha 5 to get a better understanding of who Khan is and what made him the way that he was. When the show was originally pitched back in the deep dark times of 2017, 2018, Nicholas Meyer, who of course we all know very well as helming Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, came aboard with his idea for a 3-part television event. Obviously, that idea has changed several times over the years. In fact, Meyer is no longer with the project. The project has been written by Kristen Beyer and David Mack, and I'm interested to see how it's changed from this original 3-part television idea to a 9-part audio idea. Obviously, more episodes, more room to explore. I'm also very on board, now genuinely, I'm very on board with Star Trek moving into different mediums. I'm a massive fan of television, I'm a massive fan of film. But there is more. The Star Trek books have been wildly successful throughout the years. And so too have their audiobooks been. I'm a big fan of audiobooks. So for me, an audio drama is a tiny little step. I'm excited because anything that helps broaden the world of Trek is good for me, it's good for all of us, it's good for Star Trek. There is a pretty damn good cast assembled for this as well, starting with Naveen Andrews as Khan. Now, I've been a fan of him since Lost, and I think I have very little worry whatsoever about him taking on the role of this genocidal madman. Not that I think Naveen is a genocidal madman, I just think he can play one. Ren Schmidt will be taking the role of Marla MacGyvers. Now, I like that they are bringing her character back in because so much of Khan's rage in The Wrath of Khan comes from the loss of his beloved wife. You know, I kind of want to see them together because there is a sort of a hope at the end of Space Seed that maybe things could have gone a different way. So I do want to see that story of how things sort of got as bad as they did. Sonia Cassidy will be playing the aforementioned Dr. Lear. Now, she's a historian who will be, in effect, trying to convince Sulu that what she's doing is worth doing. The series is going to premiere on September the 8th, which, as we know, is Star Trek Day, the anniversary of the day it premiered in the United States. So I like that, I have to say. Fair play for doing something on Star Trek Day this year. Also revealed at SDCC, this is for the collectors in the group, were some of Nacelle's wave of Star Trek figures. Now, we've known about some of them for a while. For example, they released a render of the Year of Hell Janeway and the Favor the Bold version of Nog, which are just, they both look great. They also have revealed that Wave 3, so they're both from Wave 2, Wave 3 are going to be, it's going to feature the original series. So all of the main cast, and they did reveal their figure of Uhura, and I have to say my wallet's worried and it looks brilliant. They're also doing Chapel and they're also doing Rand and a special 2-pack, which is still a surprise. We don't know what's going to be in that. But then they revealed what Wave 4 is going to be. Now let me read out this list of characters to you. We have Benjamin Sisko, as he appears in the later seasons of DS9. We have Robin Curtis's Saavik, because we know we're also getting Kirstie Alley's Saavik. Sub Rosa Beverly Crusher, which is hilarious. Does it come with the candle? We have Generations Data from Worf's promotion at the start of the film. We have David Marcus, Merritt Buttrick finally getting an action figure there. We have First Contact version of Captain Picard. We have Captain Harriman. I can already hear Chris putting through the pre-order for that one. We have Tom Paris as Captain Proton. We have Chekhov, as they've called him, Nuclear Whistles Chekhov from Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and also we have Hoshi from In a Mirror Darkly. Normally, I'm not an action figure person, but my wallet's worried. I'm not going to lie. My wallet is concerned by how much I'm probably going to want to collect these things. What there was no news on was Tawny Newsome and Justin Simeon's comedy show. Now, that was first announced last year, but there has been very little update on it since, just that they were continuing to work on it. We don't even know if it's got a series green light. I won't say I'm concerned, but obviously I want to know more. I want to know if we have another Star Trek series coming. Now, presumably, Tawny Newsome has been busy getting her name on that wall in the Starfleet Academy teaser trailer. Fair play, Admiral Tawny Newsome. But yeah, nothing at all so far about news for new shows. Now, we've done looking back for a moment. Let's look forward Next week features the Trek to Vegas convention at the Rio Hotel in, clues in the name, Las Vegas. I will be in attendance. Also in attendance will be Otoy and the Roddenberry Archive. Now, they will be hosting a panel on the Saturday after a screening of 765874 Unification. I don't think it's any surprise this time. We are big fans of that short film here on this channel. The team has been gracious enough to join us for interviews. You can check them all out on the channel here as well. And I am really looking forward to seeing them discuss the process of putting this together. If you are going to Trek to Vegas, please do check that out. That's on the Saturday, as I say. Because also, in our interview with Jules Urbach, who was the CEO of Otoy, he did say as well that although that particular story feels now complete, they are so ready to do more Star Trek content with the Roddenberry Archive and with this technology that they've put together. As I say now, I've just recently done the ups and downs for the 765874 projects as well, so do check those out because I go into, obviously, in a bit of detail how we feel about the use of this new technology that they're doing. It's super fascinating. Now, to be honest with you, they're going to describe it better than I will, so if you can get to that panel, please do, and please do check out our interviews with them as well. Speaking of panels, on Thursday of the convention, why don't you join me for a panel? That is right, I will be hosting a panel alongside Matthew Jennings, who is a filmmaker and content creator who's responsible for 1701, A Blurred Story, all of which is available on YouTube. We will be discussing our panel, which I'm calling Live Long and Stay Positive, the ups and downs of content creation. We're going to go into our insights and learnings of being content creators within the Star Trek fan community. If you are there, it would be so lovely to see you there. There'll be a bit of a Q&A, we can have a chat, and hopefully we can let you know a little bit of the inside of what it's like to make content in today's day and age, particularly with how communities interact online and in person. That will be at the lounge in Vic's Bar in the Rio Hotel. It'd be great to see as many people as possible there. It'd be lovely to see you. And speaking of which, if you are at the convention, come up and say hi. I would absolutely love to see as many people as possible. And by the way, thank you everyone who's been picking up our t-shirts too. I've loved seeing the photos that people are sharing online of that. Yous are absolute legends. Thank you so much. Keep tagging us as well. And hey, if we meet in the wild and get a picture together, all's the better. There's loads else to enjoy at the convention as well. We've got the 30 Years of Voyager panel because, I mean, listen, 30 Years of Voyager, why would you not? But also, kind of outside of Star Trek, we've got panels about Resident Alien, the show which is of course executive produced by Robert Duncan McNeil. You also have Battlestar Galactica, super famous faces will be there too. And also, yes, there are in fact Star Wars fans who watch Star Trek as well. So do check out some of the Star Wars things that are going on at Trek to Vegas too. Folks, that brings me to the end of this video in particular, and thank you so much everyone for watching along. You are awesome, you are wonderful. Let us know your thoughts of how Star Trek is looking at the moment. How do you feel about it? What are you excited for? What are you concerned about? Let us know in the comments below, and do reach out to us on the socials as well. We are at TrekCulture on pretty much everything. We're at TrekCulture YT on Instagram. I am at Sean Ferrick on those various socials too. I am looking forward to seeing as many of you in person as possible, and I am always looking forward to interacting with every single one of you online too. Live long and prosper. You are awesome. Stay that way, but I bet you will, because you're cool. Thanks very much.